Hello everyone, today we're going to have a look at the Panasonic DMZ FZ1000. It's a 1-inch sensor bridge camera built by Panasonic, and in this video I'm going to show you the outside of the camera and also what modes it offers and for what purpose I bought it. So I'll give you some objective view for what I think the camera personally is the best at the moment compared to other cameras the same size. Well, starting with the top of the camera, you can see quite a lot of switches and dials. Starting with the big one here, it's the mode dial. You can see it has intelligent automatic, aperture, manual or other modes, scene mode as well. I personally use it in the aperture mode most of the time, so I select the aperture and the rest is done by the camera. Next to the dial you have the on and off switch. It's quite small but it's easy to push and it gives you some nice feedback as well. On the other side you can have the dial for selecting single pictures, burst mode, or for example self timer if you want to be in the picture yourself. Just select that, push it, and then you have 10 seconds time to get in front of the camera and be on the picture. Here you have the zoom swipe, so you zoom in and zoom out, as well as the shutter button. It also says wide and deep, there's a small magnifier for it, so you can't miss that properly. Here you have the button for a quick record a movie, so you push that and it starts recording a movie. And you have two functioning buttons on the right side as well. Some are programmable, some have some features already. So here, for example, you can see it has Wi-Fi there. Well, I don't really use these functioning buttons because I do everything in the menu, and usually I set up the camera before I use it, but we'll come to that later. On the lens itself, it's attached to the camera, so you can't switch it. It says 25 to 400 millimeter zoom range, and the camera lens has an aperture of 2.8 till 4. I find it a bit disappointing that the 4 aperture is reached at 180 millimeter already. So you have the 2.8 only a very few millimeter before it starts going up, and from 180 to 400 you have only f.4 at the largest aperture. Still quite a lot, but yeah, well, it could have been a bit more, to be honest. On the side you have two switches as well. One is the switch for the iOS or the OIS here in this case, on and off. It's quite a good one. You can even take shots at 400 millimeter, but if you use it for video purposes, the stabilizer is quite loud. So if you intend not to use the external microphone and you want to shoot video with that, you should reconsider switching it off. If you can handheld the camera quite steady, it's good. Otherwise, put it on a tripod because you will always have the sound of the stabilizer in the video. The other switch offers zoom and focus. You can focus manually with turning this ring here, only if the focus is set to manual on the camera. Zoom you can always override, so you can zoom with the swipe here or zoom with the dial, with the ring of the camera. Well, if we stay on the side, we just have a small microphone plug here as well, so you can plug an external microphone, put it on the camera shoe, on the flash shoe for example, and then you will have probably a better sound record with this annoying stabilizer sound to be avoided. Well, what else to say from the top of the camera? Here on the side of the optical viewfinder you have this flash, spring-loaded flash, and it pops out like that. I will show you from the side. It's quite high, but still, to be honest, if you use this sun protection here on the lens, it doesn't really make sense because you will always have a shadow of the flash on the picture. Because if you turn on the camera, I'll do that for now once. This is the minimum size of the zoom, so as you can see probably the flash will always go like that and you will always have the shadow in the picture, which is not that nice. I'll put that back in for now and turn the camera back off. I'm going to have a look at the back of the camera now. Starting on the left side you will have the functioning button 5 here, and well, next to it you have the optical viewfinder. If there's quite a lot of sunlight outside, you can just take a look through it. It has a sensor. When you go close to it with your eye, it will turn on the screen, the live view screen, and it will turn that one on. So you have a better picture with no reflections on it. Next to the viewfinder on the right side, you will have the switch for the focus. Here is the AFS, so the signal of autofocus. You have the continuous autofocus and the manual autofocus, and you can also lock the autofocus by pushing that. Well, as I said before, if you turn it to manual autofocus, I will show you that in a minute. You can switch the one on the lens to focus, and then with the ring you can focus yourself. And it has focus peaking, of course, but I will come to that in a minute. Next to that you have the functioning button 3, the playback button, the display button, and here this 4-way button. You can set different settings like ISO, white balance, or anything else. And you have the menu set button and functioning 4, which is also used to delete pictures. On the downside, well, on the underside, let's say, not the downside, you have the screw for the tripod. It's a bit, well, misplaced, I would call it. First of all, it's not really centered, so the weight distribution is not even, as well as it has another problem because you can't open the battery thing anymore. Even if you have a really small tripod plate, it just gets into the way. So if you have to access the battery or the SD card with a plate under it, there is no chance. So you have to open it, make it loose, remove it, and then you can open the case for the battery. On the other side, here you go, you have an HDMI slot. So if you want to plug the camera to your television, for example, you can do that on this side. Okay, just gonna close that now. Well, we're gonna start up the camera now, and for that I'm going to open the screen here. As I said before, you switch that on, and it also has some small green light to show you that it's activated or working. And I'll turn up the camera. So we have some object in the lens. Well, at least you can see something, the camera I'm filming this video with. And as I said before, here you can zoom, as well as turning this ring here. Well, you will probably hear that on the video. And you can also see that. It's still an electronic zoom, so if you turn the wheel, it doesn't mean that you're doing that by yourself, but it has some small steps inside, and it really steps, as you can see. I'm turning it really slow now, and it doesn't go smooth, but it jumps more or less. And well, the same thing with the switch here. It also you can't really adjust the speed, let's call it that way. Panasonic says it has 5 speeds you can choose from, but to be honest, I don't really feel any difference. To me, it's really, really fast. Even the slowest speed is way too fast for some purposes. Well, showing you the focus now, the manual focus. You can switch that way, and I will zoom back in a bit like that. I hope you can see something on the screen. And here you go. You can focus now with this ring here, and as I said before, you have this focus peaking. So where you can see this blue noise, let's call it, on the picture now. It tells you that it's sharp. Zooming in the other way, it becomes really unsharp again, or not sharp, and turning it the other way, it's the same. Not that much, but still. For video purpose, I mainly use the manual focus. I set it up once or just do it handheld. It's quite easy, and with this focus peaking, it's also quite simple to find the right spot. Otherwise, of course, you can put that dial here to autofocus. That way the magnifier disappears from the screen, and now you can just have the autofocus. It's usually, turn it back to zoom, it's quite fast, the autofocus, and it hits the spot 99% of the time. Once in a while you will probably have some pumping of the focus, but I didn't really figure that as annoying as it sounds. Well, putting the camera back down for now, I will show you this dial, which I forgot to explain you here. There is this small dial on the right top, and for example in aperture mode, it just changes the aperture. You can see on the screen this goes 5.6, 6.3, 8, and which 8 is the max. Same when I go to this manual mode here, I can set different things, and by pushing a dial I can change, like going to aperture now, 2.8, setting up the speed of the shutter, and it gives you a live view, let's say, of what I'm doing here. It also explains that you have to push it. Other functions, as I said before, you have Wi-Fi connectivity, so you can connect the camera to your smartphone or tablet and control it that way. And going to explain now for what purpose I use this camera. Camera-wise, it's a good camera, no questions asked. But picture-wise, you probably get some better cameras from other sellers and other manufacturers like Sony. The RX series is probably better for taking pictures, but where this camera is really superb is the video mode. So if you're looking for some camera which offers really, really large zoom and you don't want to spend a lot of money like the camera I'm using to film this video, this is probably a really good pick for taking proper videos. It offers video functionality in 4K as well as 1080p, of course. And focus, as I said before, is really on the spot all the time. The sound quality is really nice, even if you have this small noise. You can avoid it by plugging a different microphone inside, as I said before. but the sharpness and the image quality is really great. And I use it usually on the tripod, put it somewhere on a really high tripod with some electronic head, so I can turn it and move it. And then I just leave it there, and it records 29 minutes and 59 seconds. Then you have to restart it. It's not getting hot or anything else, it just can't save more data on the storage probably. I don't know what this function is meant to be. But you have to restart the camera, unfortunately. But to me, I usually connect a tablet computer and it film sequences between 10 to 15 minutes. Then I just give it a pause and then turn it back on. If you buy this camera, you should really reconsider buying some more batteries for it, because the batteries don't really last long. Well, I have 4 of them, and usually I need more when I'm working during the day. Even with different cameras, this really eats battery like nothing else. Anything else to say about that camera? I'm not really sure now. Build quality wise, it's quite nice. Of course it's plastic, but well, still it feels quite heavy. It has more than 800 grams with the battery and the card included, so it's not that lightweight, but also not too heavy to carry around all day long. And you can also attach this carrying thing around it to put it around your neck or hang it over your shoulder. I don't use these things at all. I use the camera bags most of the time if the camera is heavier, so I always leave that this attached to it, the camera. If you have any questions with the camera or the video, please don't hesitate to ask. Put a comment under the video and I will start replying as soon as possible. Goodbye.